If you at all still believe there is anything faithful in this studio fiction called Rings of Power to anything Tolkien wrote, there is no saving you whatso-fucking-ever. Hello, this is Maria Jade, and I'm back with another video, and the retcons continue, ladies and gentlemen. This time retconning, according to Screen Rant, Middle-earth's most troublesome elf, which is a masterpiece of understatement, because who is the most troublesome elf that's being retconned? Feanor. Feanor is being retconned, ladies and gentlemen, because they have to do so. Rings of Power has to do so because people were noticing a particular symbol on the front of Galadriel in name only's armor during Season 1, and how Galadriel would have never worn anything with the mark of Feanor at all. So, to make it make sense, they need a retcon. And there's still fucking idiots who believe that this is a faithful adaptation, thematically or whatever, to whatever Tolkien wrote in Second Age, even though Amazon does not have the rights to anything dealing with the Second Age. They only have the rights to the appendices, which includes a fucking timeline, and even then, they cannot get anything right. But at any rate, let's just dive right into this article so we can get a gauge of what exactly is going on in Rings of Power when it comes to Feanor. Rings of Power Season 2 set photos reveal a continued retcon regarding elven lore, so it's not an adaptation. Faithful or otherwise, it's not a fucking adaptation. The Prime Video series significantly changed the nature of the elves' arrival in Middle-earth in Season 1, so again, if you fucking think this is anything faithful to Tolkien's writings, there's no helping you. In Middle-earth in Season 1, making it seem as if Galadriel's people, the Noldor, had valiantly set sail from Valinor to defend their home from Morgoth, when in fact this is not the case at all in Tolkien's Silmarillion, where the selfishness of the Noldor king Feanor had led to the people's exile. For this reason, Feanor's reputation among the elves of Middle-earth was far from positive, but this isn't how the Rings of Power has approached the story. Again, not faithful whatsoever. In Tolkien canon, actual lore, Feanor is remembered as the great craftsman of the Silmarils, hence the Silmarillion. 3 stones that contained the light of the 2 trees of Valinor. The Silmarils were of spectacular beauty, which led many beings of the world in the Lord of the Rings to covet them. Feanor, to protect them jealously, alright? So when Morgoth stole them and escaped to Middle-earth, the elf vowed to do whatever it took to get them back. That's the reason why they fucking left. He dragged the Noldor through war and pain, hence he would not be loved or revered whatsoever in this mission, thus damaging his reputation forever. However, to hear Prime Video tell it, Feanor was a loved and respected king, something that looks to continue in Rings of Power Season 2. Faithful adaptation, my fucking ass. And here it is. Again, take Fellowship of Fans with a grain of salt, but this looks to be incredibly believable in terms of how the statue looks, and that looks to be Feanor. Drone photos of one of the sets of Rings of Power Season 2 show a statue of Feanor standing in City Square. Though this character hasn't been shown in Rings of Power or The Lord of the Rings, well, why fucking would he? He would be dead well before now. Fucking idiots at Screen Rants. His statue can be recognized by the hammer in his hand, which was discussed in Rings of Power Season 1. The problem with this image, and there's many fucking problems, is that the Noldor of Tolkien lore would never have honored Feanor in this way, since the king had selfishly led his people into exile before getting himself killed in the war effort against Morgoth. At the time of the Rings of Power, set in the Second Age, or supposed to be set in the Second Age, which means, again, you fucking idiots at Screen Rant, Feanor would not be shown. The Noldor are led by High King Gil-galad, a descendant of Feanor's brother Fingolfin. The sons of the Silmarils creator were passed over for the throne, thanks to their father's crimes and poor reputation. This is why Celebrimbor, actual Celebrimbor of Tolkien lore, right, Feanor's grandson, isn't king, and he publicly repented of his family's sins. Of course, talk of this elven scandal has been absent thus far in the Rings of Power, with Celebrimbor seeming to revere Feanor's legacy. Celebrimbor in actual lore would never do so. He would never do so. Actual Celebrimbor would not look like fucking 80s dad in a muumuu. The fact that Season 2 includes a statue of the character indicates that this retcon will continue. Feanor wasn't a villain in the same way as Morgoth or Sauron, but it's still frustrating to see him touted as sort of a hero in the Rings of Power. As it is, given the Prime Video series' limited rights when it comes to Tolkien's estate, very fucking limited, they don't have the rights to the Silmarillion at all, which would have shown this story. There may not have been much of a choice. Then you don't adapt it, period. You don't fucking adapt what you don't have the rights to. It's that fucking simple. But Bezos, alright, that bald-headed fuck, wanted to capture his own Game of Thrones-esque show, his series. So he allows these showrunners, McKay and Payne, to bastardize Tolkien's writings just because he wanted to have his own Game of Thrones series, in a way. Amazon doesn't have the rights to the Silmarillion, the collection of works describing the creation and the war over the Silmarils, published after Tolkien's death. Written before Tolkien's death, and as I would say, written before even the Lord of the Rings books, right, published after his death. Therefore, the Rings of Power can't get into the nitty-gritty of who Feanor truly was and why his legacy isn't positive. Again, don't adapt it, period. Don't fucking adapt it, period. It's that simple. If you don't have the rights to something, then it's not an adaptation. It is not an adaptation. It's studio fiction. I'm not even going to say fan fiction, because fans would not write this shit. Fans would know to not adapt it. Studio fiction at its finest. Instead, it seems that the Rings of Power has given a similar role to Celebrimbor, who is far more arrogant in the Prime Video series than his canon counterparts. Celebrimbor in name only. Celebrimbor, one of my favorite characters, the actual master craftsman, actual friend of the dwarves, the one who created the Rings of Power, who caught on to Sauron a little too late, but he caught on to what Sauron was doing and defended till his death. A Region. A warrior. A fighter, royalty, and a craftsman. That's Celebrimbor. Not this shit. The fact that this craftsman so reveres his grandfather, keeping his hammer on display and striving to live up to his reputation with his creations, foreshadows a similar downfall to pride. Not Celebrimbor. Of course, given Celebrimbor's role in creating the titular Rings of Power, this is a reasonably easy shift that allows the Prime Video series to dodge issues related to Silmarillion's right. So, shill harder, Screen Rant. Shill fucking harder. Still, Feanor having a statue erected in his honor is a hard pill to swallow for those who know his true bloody history. But you are perfectly willing to look the other way when it comes to this shit, Screen Rant, because you're calling it a reasonably easy shift. But there it is, chat. There it is. Retcon continues. Retcons galore. And then you have idiots like this asshole on Twitter claiming that anything dealing with the Rings of Power is thematically faithful to Tolkien's work. And having the audacity to use the word to say it plays a little loose with the Silmarillion. That's a masterpiece of understatement. It has nothing to do with the Silmarillion. It has nothing to do with Tolkien whatsoever. But then you have idiots like this Colin, who limited replies, because he was getting roasted, defending this shit. But at any rate, what are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. Did you watch Rings of Power Season 1? Did you not watch it? If you did, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you somewhere in the middle? Are you planning on watching Season 2 at all? Let me know all that down in the comments. I'll be live tonight on my Kick, playing some more Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, so come check that out about 7:30 p.m. Eastern, thereabouts. Hopefully I'll get through Chapter 1. I'm on the last chapter, trying to defeat the main boss, and it's driving me fucking crazy. But at any rate, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. This is Mara Jade. Catch you on the dark side, and keep shilling, Screen Rants. Keep shilling. Maybe Bezos will allow you to keep your lips on his fucking ass. Peace.